Welcome to Align and Activate, Raw Talks and Universal Truths. And here we explore all things spiritual, manifestation, quantum healing, light language, you name it, we've got it. My name's Amy, Activation Amy, and I'm a quantum hypnotherapist, a coach for starseeds, and a light language channel. And this is the beautiful
Jenny Priestner. I'm a manifestation and mindset mentor, master NLP practitioner, channel and healer.
And we have got such an amazing, exciting session episode for you today. So last week, we started off with going through a spiritual awakening. If you're going through that process of opening up, that was where we really started to break that down. And this week we are building on that with We Are Energy. And just before we go any further, I would absolutely love to invite you, if you receive a lot from this episode, to like it, subscribe to both of our channels. All the information is underneath, and to share it with anybody that you feel will benefit from it. So We Are Energy. Jenny has written an absolutely fantastic post on this today. So I'm going to give it over to you, Jenny, to start off this conversation.
Yeah, so the notion then that we are energy. So there's a couple of layers to this one. It's as we're starting on our journey, especially back when we were younger, we kind of look at ourselves and it's like, we're just a fleshy human living a fleshy experience on the earth. But I think as time starts to go on, we start to kind of open our minds a little bit more. And if we zoomed in on ourselves, and I mean like a mega, mega, mega microscope, you would get down to your cells, but then your cells are made of atoms. And I'm not going to go down off the scientific diving board here, but if you imagine that, so we in ourselves are made of atoms. The entire universe is made of atoms. So therefore, we are part of the universe. So we are energy. So I think when we start to put ourselves with the universe rather than separate to it, that's also something a little bit different as well. So here we have it now. So we are energy. So the entire universe is constantly vibrating, which I think we did touch on last week because we expressed how to raise your vibration. So again, though, if we see ourselves as, rather than this fleshy existence, if we see ourselves as a light being, we are energy. So we are in a vibrational state. So yeah, it's people think to us like, oh, this energy lark, this spirituality, oh, it's a load of woo-woo. And it's not. It's quantum physics. And without again, quoting Einstein and things like that, that's what these guys were looking at. They were looking at the universe in E equals mc squared and things like that. This is all to do with energy. So how's that sitting with you then, Amy?
I think, yeah, I love that. And I think, yeah, there's so many like great points there. Like, I think what was coming up for me was like, like, no offense to dads, but like, I know it's like a like it's just such, when I think of like, my dad and like other people talking about their dad, and that kind of perception of, I've got to see it to believe it, right? That was coming up. And it's like, yes, but you can't necessarily see energy with your physical eyes. So it's actually the very opposite of that. Once you start going through a spiritual awakening of, there's that saying of, you first you have to believe and then you see, right? Because it's like, to try and explain to somebody exactly what electricity is, it's almost like, and I'm sure I read somewhere, don't quote me, but even scientists struggle like to actually physically explain what electricity is, right? But yet it's still the movement of energy, right? And it still works. So we have evidence of electricity all around us all of the time, like in this ring light, this alien thing, right? It's like it's there.
Love it.
I love my alien. He's an Arcturian, just thought I'd put that out there. Okay, so it's like um so yeah, there's your evidence, right? It's like it's run by batteries, and as I say, I can't break that down, but you know, you have to believe in order to see it. It's like, it works, it's there, it just is, whether you like it or not. You are energy, we are energy, and there's no two ways about that. And as you go through a spiritual awakening, to touch on from last week, because I think what we're trying to do here is make these spiritual, you know, concepts quite simple. We're trying to break them down in a way that's relatable and understandable for people wherever you are on your journey. Because I know there's a lot of things, I think we said before, you know, that I talk about, that I've been on my journey a while, but sometimes I'll be like, well, what does that even mean? Right. So what we're trying to do here, not trying, what we are doing here is we are, you know, breaking these different aspects and like concepts down. So yeah, how does that like sit with you?
I'm just still got in my head the whole I've got to see it to believe it thing. And honestly, I think I've even done a post about this as well, right? Because we can't see air, yeah? But we believe it's there because it keeps us alive. You know, people say to us, we are breathing air. And again, we can't see love, but we know it's there because we can feel it. Now, when you start to progress on your journey, you do kind of, you start to feel into energies a little bit. And I don't mean, you know, I mean, I have got to the point where sometimes I can feel the energy in front of me. But I mean, like feeling the energy of walking into a room where it's the energy is quite heavy. And when you walk in, you're like, oof, feel like I don't want to be in here today. So you walk back out again. That is where you are starting to feel into the energies that are around you. And the same again, when you've got someone that's mega happy and really on top of the world and you go and stand next to them, you take on their energy. So this is what we mean by we are energy. And if we put it again into the sort of the human version, so our aura, our energetic field, our electromagnetic field, it can extend for up to 9 meters outside of our body. So, you know, you don't have to have someone stood right next to you up close and personal in your, you know, getting all up in your grill for you to feel their energy. You know, you can be, they say that the body, the energy announces you before someone starts speaking. So you know, when someone walks into your room, you've already, your body, your energy has already picked up their energy. So your mind has already decided, bit of a shifty character, this one, before they've even spoken. And you know, and that's just your energy feeling theirs. So if we imagine it again, if you're a high energy person, you're a high vibrational energy person, always happy, singing, dancing, and someone comes in that's at a low energy, your energy is going to feel the difference of their energy. So you might in your brain not pick it up straight away, but your energetic field has sensed the difference in the vibration. So it might start to send you signals of, oh, watch out for this one, or might not be trusted, or not really our person. And that's how we start to gain information from the environment by our energy picking up what's in our field. So yeah, no, I'm very expressive again with my hands. It's happening again, but it's I hope that explanation of, you know, us being able to feel into energy. But you're right, just because we cannot see it, but we can feel it. And yeah, we get feedback from it. That's how our mind starts to work with things. So I hope that information and that explanation sat well.
Yeah, so you know what I was seeing while she was speaking, and again, it seems like as we're talking, we're going to start being able to give visual examples, which is really cool because we're both like visual people. So hopefully some of you will be able to resonate with that, what we're saying as well. So do you know that I think it's called the, I might be wrong, but I think it's called the toroidal field. I will need to Google that afterwards, right? And it's kind of like, I hope I've not said that wrong or got it confused elsewhere, but hey, you know, it is what it is. But it's like the toroidal field, what I'm seeing is like it's your heartbeat and then it's kind of pushed out in a big circle and it comes exactly right,
Yeah.
and it comes back round, right? I don't know if you've ever seen that picture, and it ties in with, I think it's called heart map, and again, I'm not an expert or by any means anything like that. And it's like, if you're a calm person, so your heart, it creates a vibration, right? For example, it creates frequency. Your heart is constant energy in motion, right? It's always moving. From the day you are born, your heart is what keeps you alive, but it also creates this energetic field around you, right? Which is, I think it's called the toroidal field. So when somebody meditates on their heart a lot, right, and they really start to drop into that space, and what I mean by dropping into that is being present with your emotions, right, allowing your emotions to flow, your heart has an expanded toroidal field, okay, so that when you go out into public, people can feel that. And so for me, this is what like light language does, is it brings the heart and mind into coherence, right, and it creates that expanded toroidal field. And that's why when a group of people that meditate together, it's super powerful, because they're like, their heart energy is expanding. And when they then walk into a room, right, and on the earth in general, it creates a raised frequency, right, a raised vibration, which has the ability to affect others. So we definitely do have the power to affect other people. Does that make sense with you, what I've just said about the heart?
Yeah, definitely. So what you've touched on there as well is I've definitely can see that it's usually a picture of a man like this, isn't it? And it looks like he has a donut kind of coming out of his head and moving round. And it just sort of shows though. So what you were speaking about there is brain and heart coherence. So, you know, the frequency, we emit a frequency from our brain and we also emit a frequency from our heart. And when we get these two working together, it's like, it's a next level frequency. So this is where now we're kind of touching on Nikola Tesla's work, you know, that our heart and our head are an antenna. That's quite a hard one to say, are an antenna. So what it is there is, so we emit a frequency from our brain, but it's not as strong as our heart. So the brain in itself, it's actually measured on a scale called picotesla. So because it's very small, so the brain measures between 0 to 10. So it's just emitting a little bit, but your heart can go up to 100 picotesla. So that's why they say when we are manifesting, we can't just think, oh, yeah, I really want a really good life. It's like we have to feel what we want. We have to send that energy out. So when you've got your heart and you've got your mind focused on what you are wanting to bring into this reality and feeling into this reality, this is then when we are creating this electromagnetic field that you spoke of. So yeah, definitely, it's so powerful. So yeah, picotesla, that's a new one that I've learned quite recently. But yeah, I think when it's important that people understand the enormity really of us being an energetic being. You know, we are not just here on this earth having this experience. It's a case of we are able to manipulate and program and have an impact on our experience based on what we feel and what we think. And I think this is like a massive penny that starts to drop for people. And when people understand this, rather than seeing that life happens to them, life happens for them, and it's also happening for them based on what they're thinking about and what they're feeling. So this, in essence, we've actually just touched on like the crux of manifestation, where we have to think what we want and we have to feel into what we want. And this is how now, if we imagine that frequency moving out, this is how we are able to affect the energy around us. And then if we start getting onto the law of attraction, you know, we've got obviously it's sending out a vibration, and when it's moving out into the universe, that then brings it closer to us. So this is what we're saying. It's like everything that we're speaking about, it's not woo-woo. You know, we're not sat here like wishing, I'm hoping, I'm gonna get my new car. You know, it's more than that. It's thought, it's energy, and this is how we manifest a life that we love to live.
Yeah, it's like we are, the way that I see it and the way that I kind of describe it is our energy influences, right? You are constantly influencing with your energy.
Am I an influencer?
Yeah, an influencer. So like thought transmission is real as well, right? And this is how like psychic abilities work, but that's probably a whole nother tangent for another day possibly. But it's like you can influence the people around you with the thoughts that you think about them. So the secret touches on this a little bit, in that, like, you know, if you start to label somebody as being something, right, they then become that in your reality because that's your perception of them. But you also push this out, right, in your energy, and they have to become the match for what you are thinking, feeling, and perceiving of them. So, you know, this is why you've got to be, and I guess this is where your work comes in with the NLP and everything, is like, you've got to be so aware of the thoughts that you think and the words that you say, because the minute you start speaking, you've given that life, like you've given that you've given those thoughts energy, and then you have created in your reality, right? So it's like, this is why it's just being aware of what you think about others. So if you feel that someone is treating you badly, for example, it's like, you know, it's up to you. You know, you do have a say in how that situation plays out, right? Because it's about being in a state of empowerment and watching what your energy is doing, and especially if it's a pattern, right? Because you can start to influence that person with thinking different thoughts about them. And it's not ignoring what's happening. It's not, you know, being in an abusive situation and just trying to spiritually bypass over the top. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying just become aware of what you think and how you feel about others. Because if you send that out into the universe, you know, why does everyone always, you know, those type of thoughts, you've really got to look at that, right? And start thinking, you know, thoughts of, I love how like kind and compassionate everyone is towards me, right? Even if it doesn't feel like it's true in that moment, if you want that in your reality, right, then you start thinking that way and start pushing that out in your energy, because you can influence people. And that's how, you know, how it works. We do have influence over our reality in that sense. Yeah. So what do you think about that?
I've got so many things to say about all the different ones there. So the with what you were saying about the influencing people's energy and, like, you know, when we label people, so that can have two influences on it. You know, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, really, isn't it? If someone says to you, and this is how it all starts back in school, you know, when you get your school report home and the teacher's like, you'll never amount to anything. And it's like, right, I'll never amount to anything. I'll never amount to anything. And it's, you know, it's that energy of that thought had later on affected you in life. So that's the one I've got to say about that one there. But then as well with the thoughts, with influencing things. Now, again, don't quote me on this one. This is a study that I read about. So it was, and this again, it was like another penny dropping for me. And it made me realize the enormity of how much our thoughts can affect the energy and the atoms and the matter around us. So again, this is a very loose explanation because this is all I can remember of it. So it sounds like a joke. Two scientists walk into a lab and they had an energetic beam of light, and they'd set up this experiment, and there was a hole where they wanted the beam of light to go through, but only the two experimenters knew where the hole was. And every time when they turned it on, the beam of light found the hole straight away. And they realized in the end that when the scientists removed themselves from the room, that the beam of light didn't find the hole. And what was happening is because the scientists were like, the hole is there, the hole is there, the hole is there. They were able to influence, the energy was feeling what, or understanding what the scientists were saying, and it knew exactly where to go. So this to me was, it was quite a massive thing to understand, really, because when I did my psychology degree, whenever they were conducting psychological studies, they used to always say there's observer effect, observer effect. So whenever they used to do one, you know, like if you imagine someone stood there with a clipboard and there'd be someone in front of you doing like a psychology test. And I used to think it was like, you know, the presence of having someone watched over you. But in actual fact, it was more as well the fact that that person could have been affecting them with their thoughts, thinking, you're never going to get this right, you're never going to get this right. And it was all coming to them. So it kind of, not only was it the physical presence of the people being there, but it just showed it was evidence to me. I like evidence in my life to understand things. So when I got into quantum physics, it really explained my spirituality side of it. And I think when people can understand evidence behind it drops in with them a little bit better. So yeah, the fact of being able to influence this energy, it's real. So yeah, with what you were saying just there, with having an effect on the energy around us, and if you are wanting to welcome these experiences into your life, like Amy said, don't get embroiled on where you are now, like, oh, well, this is always going wrong and that's going wrong. And this is the hard thing. This is how we end up on this repeat life cycle of just living, running ourselves into the ground in our lives, because we just get stuck on hating where we are and disliking our lives. And touching on what you said, if you want to welcome in loving new experiences, that's what you've got to think about. But it's the bridging the gap between where you are and what you want to bring in. And I suppose that's what you were saying there to do with the NLP as well. So neuro-linguistic programming, it's about programming and rewiring your mind to think differently, because we always, if you do what you've always done, you're always going to get what you've always got. But if you make a slight change, this is where you start to see, it's like a snowball, you'll see big changes, big effects later on in life. So yeah, we are touching on loads here. I understand that, but it is all encompassing into the same thing, that our thoughts and our feelings affect the energy around us. And when we affect the energy around us, we are able to bring into our reality what we want to experience. So I hope I've not complicated things there with a lot of studies and things like that. So
No, I've definitely heard of that one before. I think it's called the double slit experiment. I might be wrong, but I feel like
okay.
it's called that, the double slit one, I think. But yeah, there was a few things there again, and I think what was coming up there was like around how we can it's very easy to let your past experiences define you, okay, but all that is, it's just a repeated cycle of something that you've given your energy to over and over and over again, right? But there's like a period, and you kind of touch on it then, in between, where, and this is where you start breaking the cycle. There's a period in between where you're here, right? You've had, let's just use the example of like, let's just say you won, like, I don't know, like a new relationship, but yet your whole life has been like an accumulation. Like you've had a shitty childhood for whatever reason, because a lot of people have struggled with different things, mother father wounds, etc., right? But that then manifests throughout your life as like, because going into the inner child a little bit, right, is that we unconsciously seek in our relationships any unhealed wounds, right? So then you've manifested the same partner in different faces over and over again, right? So you're at a point now where you're like, I really, want a relationship that's like completely different from anything I've ever experienced, but yet I'm still meeting that same person, right? Because it's like a common one that comes to me and my clients. I don't know if it like comes to you as well, I would guess, like, but it's a common one, isn't it? People like want this relationship, but like men always, women always, right? Whoever you date, and there's that label of that you are giving of the word always, right? And you've got to look at that. What's the common denominator in this situation, in all of these relationships and partnerships? Well, it's you, right?
Oh, drop my walk out. She said it.
And a lot of people like, no, but there's no like, there's no good men or there's no good women or whatever. This is how it is for me. But that's a story and a perception that you've created in your energy, and you're holding on to that in your energetic field every time you give your awareness and your attention and your feelings and your thoughts to that. But in order to transcend that situation, it's like it's time, you've got to like change your energy around that and almost create a new identity, right? And it's about using those situations from the past as, okay, this has happened, we're gonna look at that, and I still get to have a different experience, right? Because I have chosen it, because I've decided it, because I am worthy. And that's the work, isn't it? Like that's where you change in your energy and you change in your perception. So again, like loads of things. I don't know. How's that sit with you?
I love all that. And the thing is, though, I think that's such a good example, because I do feel like quite a lot of people get locked in that. And I can speak from experience as well, because many years ago now, like I'm talking 4 or 5 years ago now, I was in a very bad place. I was in a very dark place. You know, my mind was not where it should have been. And I was on these dating sites. And I mean, I was on Tinder, I was on Plenty of Fish, which should be named Plenty of Freaks. I was on Bumble, I was on, like, you name it, I was on it. And I wasn't on it for, you know, anything sexual. I was genuinely wanting to meet a partner because I was so lonely and so desperate to be loved. And that was the problem. That was my energy I was putting out. I was putting out this desperate energy. And I don't mean I was desperate in the sense of like, I will meet anyone. You know, obviously I still had my standards, but my energy that I was emitting was not an energy of pure love and satisfaction. So this energy that was going out, and I was attracting narcissists, I was attracting very, very unhealed people because I at the time was unhealed. And this was just towards the beginning of my spiritual awakening now. So we're talking between 2019 to, well, yeah, it was before 2019 that this was all kind of happening. And I feel like we need to do a separate podcast on my dating disasters because
No, it's fine. We could do one of both of them.
because honestly,
podcast.
separate podcast, dating disasters, because honestly, I have had the lot. Like, I've been catfished, like,
Yeah.
that is a separate issue. So please let us know in the comments your dating disasters, because I will let you know mine, because they are off the chart disastrous.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Spiritual dating journey, I think that would be a really good one.
I'm getting flashbacks from it, but yeah, please let us know in the comments. And obviously, if you are loving this podcast so far, please like and subscribe just to let us know that you are vibing with us. But yeah, let me carry on with this one. So yeah, I was in a very desperate place. So I was attracting narcissists and just very unhealed people. So in the end, I was like, right, you know, this is not for me. So I came off everything. I deleted all the apps. And I was just like, right, okay, I wanted to work on me. This is where I just, I went into hermit mode, which we spoke of last week in the spiritual awakening, and I locked myself away and I worked on me. I healed myself. I decided to change my thought process and I changed my energy, and I just sort of, and I worked on, rather than on the dating sites, it's like, right, how old do you want them to be? How many kids, what occupation? It's all very materialistic. And you know, if you're like, okay, well, I want a solicitor and I want no children and I want this, you know, it's a kind of a case of, yeah, you know, we have to be specific with the universe, but that's being specific with kind of material things rather than energetic things. So I have actually manifested my twin flame, and I could never, ever, ever imagine a relationship like the one that I'm experiencing. Like, it's there's me and there's him. It is a perfect energetic match. You know, it's just complete complementary. And for me, in order to manifest my twin flame, every night before I went to bed, I was manifesting the feelings of what I wanted to feel, rather than like, well, I hope it's got this job and I hope it's got that. It was, no, how does my partner, my husband, my boyfriend, how do I want to feel in my relationship? And every night I would lay there and I would sit and I would mulch on these thoughts. And the universe works, manifestation works when you least expect it. So with dating sites, obviously you're taking inspired action, well done, but it's also as well, it's kind of planned on your term. But the universe doesn't work like that. The universe likes you to work on your energy, work on your thoughts. And then what it likes to come and do is knock you over with a feather when you're least expecting it. And I'd got rid of all ideas that I was going to meet someone. And I tipped up to a rave in 2019. And I met this person, and lo and behold, I have actually known them for 10 years in and out of my life, you know, just to say, hi, how you doing? And yeah, that was it. You know, I couldn't have written the script. It literally came from nowhere. And that is what makes it all the more magical. So yeah, if you are interested in manifesting a twin flame, then yeah, get in contact. This is what it's all about, manifesting. So yeah, that is my manifestation twin flame. So dating disaster to twin flame. And if you don't know what a twin flame is, it's a soul partner. It's designed that it's supposed to be when your soul was created, it kind of got split off into two and came down. So that's the idea of a twin. But yeah, the flame version is just twin flame. It's what they say for someone who is a complete energetic match for each other. So an energetic mirror. So yeah, so soul partner, best friend, twin flame, all the same.
Oh, I love this story, and it always makes me so happy, when I hear about your relationship story and the journey that you've been on, because it gives a lot of us hope. Because I'm definitely like in that place now where like I've been single for a long time, and I've been dating like different situations, which again, this can be a whole podcast in itself of like it is a spiritual journey, because the people that you date are going to mirror where you are at vibrationally. And it does definitely get to a point where like you really work on yourself and cultivating your own self-love. And I guess in a way it's having a sense of detachment around it, but not so detached in that you don't desire it, because it's very human to desire that experience, that beautiful experience of sharing with someone, but it's not a need anymore. And there's, for me, I've worked through a lot of anxious attachment, right? Because that was my attachment style, right? And that's a whole nother subject in itself, right? So it's like, but my energy was pushing out, I'm not enough, I'm not good enough. And then I manifested that experience, right? But now I'm in like such like just a beautiful place of being like really happy in my own skin. And that's being reflected to me in my reality, like in many different ways, not like even in the romantic sense, but in the sense of the people that I am meeting now, the friendships that I have, such as yourself, beautiful Jenny, is like it's so, they're so aligned, and I can have these amazing conversations and connections with people because my energy is attracting those people and influencing those people. And I'm bringing so much, I feel, to each interaction, like as well, instead of having situations, and this is probably a big one, that you really have got to look at and be honest with yourself, that you're not trying to take from other people because you don't feel like vibrationally, like, let's say, whole in yourself. And it's like going, it's okay to have needs, but you're fulfilling those needs in yourself. And I can see that that's what I did in the past, which led to poor boundaries and things like that. So tying all of this stuff back to energy, it affects everything, right? It affects your relationships, your intimate relationships, your romantic relationships, your friendships, your family. It affects how you interact with people, because those interactions are an energetic exchange in themselves. So I really love that you brought up the twin flame concept as well, because when I think of the infinity side, right, it's that beautiful giving and receiving exchange, like allowing yourself to receive. But again, it's all energy. It's like meeting your mirror, meeting your match, when you're both in that frequency, in that state of being ready and available. And it's beautiful how he was like in your life already, and but yet you didn't see it, right? It was like it was there, but it's like because you're not wired to see it, it's just like, yeah, it's like, there's that saying, when the teacher is ready, the student will appear. I guess it applies in that sense as well. It's like, with clients and things like that, it's like, oh, I've heard of you. I have this all the time. Like, you've been in my world for like, I followed you for like 2 or 3 years, but all of a sudden it's like you were there. Like,
It's divine timing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Divine
Yeah.
timing. And it's I see memes on this, and it says like the universe, if someone is meant to be in your life, they say that there's like an invisible energetic thread tied between you, in the sense of at some point in your lives you will come into each other's lives, but it will only happen when you are both ready. And obviously me and my partner were both ready. We were both at that time in our lives. But I just want to touch on something that you said there. Obviously, you know, it brought back to me the saying, you know, your vibe attracts your tribe. And this is what happens when you start seeing yourself as an energetic being and start working on your energy and raising your vibration, you know, in various different practices. Then this is where you start to see, when you change yourself, when you change your inner world, you start to see a change in your outer world. So you start, like we say, manifesting and attracting things into your reality that are more in line with who you are. So, you know, these toxic friends that just come round and want a bottle of wine and just to sit there gossiping about everyone that's doing the heading in their life, these people will melt away from you in the end. And there has to become a point when you're like, oh, but I've been friends with Janice since we were 12, when we used to knock around in high school. And it's like, but is Janice really serving? You know, have that
Yeah.
relationship now run its course. But people want to hold on to friends because they've known them for so long. And it's like, yeah, but you're not the same people now. You know, Janice wants to sit and bitch about people over a bottle of wine, and you want to drink cacao and go to yoga. It's like you are really in different worlds now. And it's about accepting the fact that it is okay to let people go from your life. And this is how we upgrade in our life. This is how we move through our life. We release energy and we welcome energy in. You know, if we were trying to manifest a better life by holding on to all the energy that we've ever had in our lives, we would never get anywhere. You know, your cup would be full, so to speak. So you have to kind of like get rid of things, and that's including people, jobs, and, you know, experiences that you've been in. We have to let those go, let the energy of those go, the ideas, the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings. We have to let those go, which is obviously what both of us do in our coaching sessions. We help people release this energy in order to create and bring in new experiences into their lives. But also as well, just speaking about the notion that, you know, I feel like we're trying to educate people on the thought that, you know, we are this energy. But, you know, you hear about people when they talk about babies, when people are arguing, oh, well, they can pick up on that stuff, you know, babies detect these things. So then all of a sudden, when the baby's like 5, it just all of a sudden forgets how to do that. You know, it's okay for a baby to do it because the baby can't speak, but all of a sudden then, you know, oh, it's okay, they can talk now. They completely forget how to read energy. So we give that concept to the understanding that babies can do it, but that never goes away.
Yeah.
So let's bring that concept back to now. Like, we pick up on vibrations. And going on what you were saying there about, you know, our outer energy. Again, when I was going through my awakening, and I've touched on this before, and it's part of my journey, so I'm going to say it again. When I had PMDD, the premenstrual dysphoric disorder, where I was allergic to my hormones, I was, you know, I'm going to be honest, I was a vile mother to my child at times, because I was in this very, 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 very dark place. And I was allergic to my hormones, and the rage that I used to feel, like, I cannot even quantify what I used to experience now. But, you know, I would find like my energy being emitted was awful. I was just in a very dark, horrible place. And at the time, you know, him back to me, he was mirroring, like you were saying, he was mirroring and reflecting back to me how I was to him. So there we were, a single parent, and, you know, a 4 or 5-year-old child living in a house together, and we were not getting on. But the moment that I worked on my energy and I worked on how I was feeling, and I started to release and heal, and even after my hysterectomy, when things started to get better, my energy completely changed, and my relationship with my son started to blossom, because then he was mirroring back to me the energy that I was putting out. So if now, by listening to these stories that we've been telling you, if you are sat thinking, right, okay, yeah, I've got quite a few people around me, and yeah, you know, my child's always, you know, arguing back with me, or, you know, he's not very nice with me, or I'm meeting narcissists and things like that. I'm not wanting to put the blame on you, but just please really sit and just have a think right now, like, just evaluate and be honest with yourself. What energy are you emitting into the universe for these experiences to be coming into your reality? And I think sometimes, you know, people are like, oh no, it's not me, it's them. It's not me, it's them. And like Amy said, it's like, she said it, it's like, you know, it is you. Like, and it's when I was
It's
going
all
through my date.
you, it's all you.
It's all you. Like following count 0000. But it's so true. And it's, you know, my friend was really nice when I was going through all these dating disasters, and I'd come back to her and I'd be crying and be like, what is happening? And she's like, Jenny, it is not you, it's them. And I did get that, because obviously they were next level narcissists, but it was me. It was my energy that was going out that was attracting them. So yeah, it's all you.
Yeah, and this is a big one, right, with the narcissist, because you know, again, like this can be a whole podcast in itself again, but it's like I've had like this so many times, and when I really look at it, right, this is where you have to get honest, and it's not about blaming yourself, right? I really want you to know that it is not
It's understanding yourself.
fault. It's understanding how energy works and having compassion for yourself on this journey, because you are where you are, right? And this is where you might need to go through your healing process. You might need to go to some therapy. You might need to work with a coach because you really want to dig in and get to the root of it, right? You might need to do inner child work. You might need to do some of that deep work, right? But the thing is, let's use the narcissist as an example. If you are manifesting a pattern of narcissists, it's very easy to go, everyone's a narcissist, meh, all men are narcissists, meh. And I had to come away from friends like that. I have had to do that because it was, I want a different experience, and I'm not going to keep having that in my reality, right? So, you know, and your friends will as well try to protect you. Your mum and dad will try to protect you, and they will say, oh, he's a bastard, right? And they're gonna say that. Yeah, they are gonna say that, but you've got to take responsibility for your reality if you want your reality to change. So if you're attracting narcissists, the general pattern is somewhere there is a victim consciousness. This is not victim shaming. It's a consciousness. It's a state of being where you are not willing to look at something, where you're not setting good boundaries, because there's a state of disempowerment. And that is usually the lesson with these people, is it's clearer boundaries in yourself, right? And it can be hard to recognize. I get that in the beginning, right? Because these people can be very manipulative, and let's not even go into that, right? But the energy of the situation, coming back to the energy, is that you will not attract these people, or you will see it very quickly, right? As like on my journey, you will look at that and you will go, ah, there's that thing again. It's come up again for me to look at, and you go, actually, you know what, this is not for me. I can, and in the past I would have stayed in that situation, right? You know, but now it's like you quickly shift through it, and there's the opportunity the universe has given to you to say, are we going to do this again, or are we going to rise up and create something different, right? It's an opportunity. If that happens, it's not that you're doing it wrong. It's not that you're not getting any further on. It's just that, you know, there's still things to click into place. There's still things to work on. It's not that you're not enough. It's not any of that. You are worthy of having whatever you want in your life, a beautiful relationship, a job that you love, you know, money, health. You are worthy of it. It's just that it's a journey. It's just that it's a process. Right. And we can get really serious about all this stuff as well. Like, I've got to keep digging, I've got to keep healing. And the journey is also about having compassion with yourself and moving through, you know, these different like layers and levels, and finding joy in the journey as well. Right. So again, because this is where the emotional scale comes in. If you want to Google that, and you know where your vibration and your frequency is at, is you move up the scale as well. And like we were saying last week, if you want to go back and watch that one, if you've not already, is that we talk a lot about, as you go more on this journey, you don't stay in those lower vibrational states for as long. You might dip into them, but you don't stay there, because your base vibration, your base frequency has risen. And with that, everything in your life has to shift, you know, your relationship, everything, right? It has to. So it can feel like there's a time of chaos. It can feel like there's a big time of like letting go and what the fuck is this, right? But sorry, I know I swore then, but like, you know,
Beep.
come out like that, beep, right? It's like, but it's like, but then you're on a whole new, you know, you're in a whole new world. You're in a whole new world, right? So that's what I have to say about that. Jenny, I feel like you want to say things.
I'm just loving the fact that like you're taking on this singing vibe because this is the thing that I do.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking
taking.
you got a Moana vibe going on with the old necklace, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
So just touching on what you were saying there in the sense of, you know, you're going to keep repeating these things, and this is what the universe does. So if we take ourselves, everything is happening for you, not to you. So the universe wants you to heal from these opportunities that it's sending you. It's like, here you are, here's a situation. I'm not going to call it a problem. Here's a situation, here's a scenario, what you gonna do? And you can either like, oh my God, this is awful, and then just ruminate in the problem. Or you can just look at it and be like, right, okay, what can I do about this? And the moment that you rise above it and move past it, you grow. But if you, at that moment in time, you know, sit there, put your head in the sand, like I said, like an octopus, like an ostrich, then the universe, because you've not learned your lesson and because you've not grown from it, your soul's not had a chance to learn its lesson and blossom a little bit more. It'll send you another one that's of like the similar vibration. So if we take this back to the dating thing, you know, you meet, you know, person A, bit of a narcissist, blah, 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 blah. Split up with him after 3 years, you've learned your lesson. And then the next guy comes in and then you're with him for 2.5 years. And it's like, right, okay, then you learn your lesson. And then the next one comes in and then you stay with him for 2 years. And it's like, when the next one comes in and you're like, no, you know what? I am not doing this again. Not again. And after 3 months, when you start seeing them red flags that are more like red parachutes dragging behind him, you're like, I see your parachutes. Now get, go on, get. Like, that is when you have learned your lesson. You have learned to love yourself. You have told yourself, I am worth more than you and your red parachutes. And you have raised your vibration, and the universe is sat there going, tis applauding you. And you know what you get then? You'll get more higher vibrational experiences and human beings and people coming into your life. And this is when you're able to then manifest, you know, a soul partner or someone that loves you and respects you, because you have learned to love and respect yourself and you've put that energy out there. So yeah, it's like the Fibonacci sequence, isn't it? You know, when everything's going round in a spiral, you know, you're just going to keep getting the same experiences until you decide that you are worth better, when you change your energy, because we are energy. So
I think that is the perfect place to finish this.
yeah,
I think it really is, because I think we've covered so many things that, you know, we initially did not expect to cover.
no,
And it's just all been brilliant because it's all really tied in well. So if you do, you have any further words to add before I just finish it there?
no, just saying, just what an amazing one. And obviously if you've not listened to last week's, then please go and get it. And obviously, if you're loving this, please like and subscribe and let us know in the comments, you know, dating disasters or certain bits that made you laugh. If you want to hear Amy do a little bit more Disney, just let us know in the comments and we'll come back to these next week.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you know, we are here for you. This is what our purpose is we said, you know, we really want to break these like spiritual concepts down and like really help to make them in a way that's like really relatable and understandable, so that you can like actually, you know, integrate them, digest them, like learn from them for yourself or whatever, help other people with them. So if you've got anything that you know you really want us to talk about, if there's anything today, you know, that really stood out for you, you'd like us to go in more detail with, like, we're totally here for you. And yeah, thanks for being here. So yeah, we're going to do these each week, so we will be back. So make sure, yeah, you check out all the links below if you do want to get in touch with us and you'd like to have a deeper level of support. So see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.